Alright, so today I'm going to be doing the console build. So I got my stuff set up for cutting wood again instead of aluminum. I've got my console bases here, slide out a little bit. So the basic design is going to be made out of 2x2 material. So I'm going to rip some 2x4s in half. The very base will be 2x4, but I'll kind of explain it as I go a little bit. But basically you're going to have 2x4 on the inside that'll overlap this flush with the outside, so that way when you put your plywood on it drops down flat. So first thing I'm going to do is actually build my inner base around this using the 2x4 material. So I'm going to get some 2x4s cut to the right size and we'll get started on that. So. Alright, as I said, that drops in there, and then you just get it flushed up, and it sits real nice and flush. So now, I'll build the rest of my frame on top of this, and when we put the sheathing on, it'll come down over top of the aluminum, and we'll be able to sandwich the aluminum inside with the sheathing, so it'll make a real nice finished product there. That'll be real strong and bolted. So the plywood will be attached here and then straight through here with bolts. We'll actually have 1/4 bolts running through each side to hold it all down. So we got that set up. Alright, camera was about out of memory, so I had to go swap out SD cards, but I'm going to keep rolling. What I'm doing now is I'm going to frame this whole area here as a door. So I've got one piece sitting there, you can see it. I'm going to end up doing a piece of that all the way around in a box. And I'll build the box and then stick it in there. That way I got room for hinges on one side and a clasp on the other side. That way if we need to access the inside of this for any reason on the water, we're not trying to remove a panel. So I'm going to get these pieces cut, get a box made, and attach it. Alright, so I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to mount the throttle control in here, and I think I just figured it out. So I got to disassemble some of this, and I'm going to move this side here is going to get pushed in far enough to mount that thing. I'm probably going to bring it a little farther than necessary, so that way that instead of bringing my sheathing all the way up like this, the sheathing will come up and get cut 90, so that way I can get a nice shelf in here that'll be a flat shelf, and then my throttle control can go on the inside there. You'll be able to feed it down through, and I'll have to do the shelf later probably. I'll paint the piece separate, but I'm going to have to just build a little shelf in here like this, and that should work pretty daggone well. So let me get going on that. So let's disassemble a couple things here. Alright, so we're back with this. I've got to cut the door out of my piece real quick. So let's angle this down so you can kind of see where I'm working. But I got to draw my door. I got to do it with my jigsaw, and I'm going to cut my door frame out, and then I can put that piece up. So. Alright, so like an idiot, I used the piece that I was going to use for the door. I accidentally used it for one of the other pieces without realizing it, so I'm going to have to put a seam in the door, but that's okay. It'll still work out, it'll still look okay. So, let me get that done real quick. I gotta fix everything, but it'll work. It'll still work out. There you go. There's one console. Last thing I got to do is get 1/4 inch. I've got to go around and put 1/4 inch bolts in the bottom all the way around. And I'll do that later though, because that can get drilled after everything's painted and stuff. But there you go. I was hoping to make this one piece, and I had a piece out there to use, but I accidentally used it when I was making one of these other pieces. Even though I had other stuff out there for that, so that was my fault, but still will work, not a big deal. Got a nice door, closes well. I'll add the other screws, so I'm going to take the hinges off to paint it. I just have it there for to make sure everything's lined up right, but there you go. One console homemade for the boat. Pretty much what I envisioned on it. I'll be able to at the top up here. Let me move the camera up. Center it up a little bit there. So on the top up here, you're going to have the bow holders are going to come up center, so they're actually come up right about here, and they'll come up probably about 50 inches or so. And I'll have to get my longest bow, which is an Oneida, and see how that hangs on there. But they're going to come up and basically be a T across the top with pieces sticking out each side, so that way your bow will just hang against the console here. And what I'll do is actually stick some eye bolts in here, so that way you can run a bungee around the bows and keep them tight against the console, and you're not worried about them flapping around while you're driving or falling off or anything. So that'll be done on both sides, but this should give us plenty of room to stack 2 bows. Let's see here. But you can envision it, you'll be able to hang 2 bows just like this, and then 2 more right here. So it's pretty much perfect size to be able to do that, and that'll be on both sides of the console. 2 bows will fit pretty much perfectly here, and then perfectly here. So that way, while you're driving around, working on fish, whatever, extra bows can just hang, but you'll have to be able to put bows right there. I'll be able to hold 8 of them, which is, you know, I don't plan on ever taking more than 8 people on this boat, so chances are we'll have just an extra bow or 2 hanging there. So that's still to be built. That won't be built for a little bit. I got to do some work on the bottom. That'll be built once it's actually attached to the deck. So, but as for now, that's what we got. So I'm going to get ready to start painting this and get the first coat of paint on it, because this is all pre-primed. So just going to go ahead and get the first coat of Rust-Oleum. I got a gray. It should about match the floor. So actually, there's one more thing I got to do. I'm going to pause it for a minute and get some of this stuff cleaned up, and then I'll do the last thing, and then we'll get ready to paint. Alright, I got it primed. and ready to paint. It was pre-primed, but I wanted to get all the edges primed real good and try to get paint in every nook and cranny. So I went ahead and primed it. Got the doors there. I think I got this primer coat pretty good. Tomorrow we'll get the first coat on, and then Friday the second coat, or not Friday, Thursday the second coat. I've got my other pieces over here, so that's going to be the piece of wood for the one thing for the controls, and then that's the 4x4. It's going to be mounted to the base of that for the box. So that stuff's all setting, and that's where I'm going to leave it for tonight. Probably won't really film all the painting because it's not exactly important, so I'll show you the finished product here once it's all done being painted. So that's it for now. Next thing you'll see is when we pick up working on the deck again, getting everything, all the side trimmed, and getting ready to put the lights on and put this on. So that's where we're at. Alright, we're going to get the coxswain stand put in real quick. And then we got some work to do on these pieces. So get this thing in place, and then we can do the weld that we need to do, and then you can go home. Because I'm about done working on this thing today. Gotta come backwards.
Well, it's solid.
Yep.
Very, very solid.
I'll drill this and put all these in tomorrow with Matt.